Thanks for inviting me here. It's my first time with Bottish, so excited to also share a bit about some of the work that I've done personally, and also with the rest of the team in the different organizations I'm working with. I think it's important after hearing from both Matthew and also Yeva to understand a little bit more from the talent management point of view. And this is what I'm going to share a bit more today. Feel free to ask questions later, as Thomas mentioned. So just to start, we're talking about Industry 4.0. So it's the knowledge economy as well as the automation economy, right? So the title that I have put here is a bit more intriguing. So we mentions that, we should not just look at competition, but also look into our unique, authentic self, and a bit of a need also to rethink how we can position ourselves, be authentic in this future of work. Before I continue with the presentation, I just wanted to share a bit about myself and my previous experience. So I'm from Singapore originally. Some of you might have heard the accent. So more than 14 years, for more than 14 years, I've worked on global assignments around the world. My role was mainly in global talent management, and I consult multinational companies such as AB InBev, the world's largest brewery, as well as Odebrecht, one of the world's largest construction engineering company as well, in the area of talent management. So I stepped out of a corporate role a couple of years back and started to look also and explore the area of entrepreneurship. And I'm currently also a partner with Future Work Forum. It's a forum, very interesting, diverse group of individuals who also consults different corporations in the area of future work, definitely, also leadership, talent management, and very diverse roles. I'm also very passionate about empowering women, both to return to work and also to reach leadership positions. So I founded a community called My Career and Child. I can share a bit more later, and also for those with questions, happy to answer them. And my work has taken me to very different, scenes, different industries, different country and cultures as well. So what I share today is also to share a little bit based on the different talent management strategies that we have used on the different cultures. Yeah, so just to start with, I wanted to start with a very little story, right? So I had a call with my 70-years old father. Yeah, he's based in Singapore. This is not a picture of my father, by the way. He's a bit camera shy. And now we have GDPR, so I can't really use his photo without his permission, right? So in a sense, this is a representation. And I was calling him and asking him what he was doing. And he said that he was coding. So he's writing codes on his computer. And this is my 70-years-old father, who was still a little boy during World War II, didn't grow up with computers or technology. So I didn't realize that, in fact, he has been learning how to code for more than 30 years, right? And he was telling me he had to learn it because, his business, he owns a prototyping engineering company. So he really needed to learn to use technology, even though he didn't grow up in the technology era, because his business requires it. And he's not a computer developer, he's not a software developer by background. He's a mechanical engineer, and he needed to learn about it and to put all this into a database, etc. Right. So the reason why I brought this story up, it made me realize, right, if my 70-year-old father can do it, then, isn't it a sign also that it's more and more the need for us to integrate technology in both our work and life. And I remember attending a leadership course at Kellogg's, and Deepak Chopra, one of the world's most renowned healthcare advocates, he said that technology is coming, regardless of whether we want it or not. So we need to be prepared for the changes. But, there's also the fact that we do not know all the evolution in technology because of the fast-paced evolution. So how do we do that if we don't know how technology and jobs will evolve? Also another thought, right? We are here on this call, most of us are privileged, so we have the luxury and the privilege to have access to learn about technology. we have the computers that we need or the smartphones, but what about those that don't have this luxury? So how can we also overcome our fear of technology, of understanding it, and how can we use it to integrate? I wanted to share a few statistics that many of us would have heard from about. So 800 million global workers will potentially lose their jobs in 2030. Right, so that's like in a decade, and will be replaced by robotic automation. That's I think, the more pessimistic point of view, and this is a quote from McKinsey, or a study from McKinsey. And Dell Technologies, with their Institute for the Future, also says and tells us that 85% of the jobs that will exist in 2030 haven't even been invented yet, right? So it's both cases. There is the possibility and potential for either a loss, and there's also a possibility and potential for new roles that will be invented that we might not even know of today. So I wanted to share a bit some of the trends in technology that leads to also the evolution of the future of work. And I wanted to bring something that Ernst & Young have published with regards to the mega trends. So we see that there is globalization that leads to different mindset changes. There is also the changes and evolution of technology. So the next wave of disruptive technology, for example, includes AI, robotics, virtual reality, Internet of Things, sharing economy platforms, for example. And this leads into changes in the future of work, right? So what kind of changes are we talking about? We all know that there is the changes in blue-collar jobs. So many of them are now being replaced by automation, by machines. But it's not only blue-collar work, but algorithms, for example, how we use data, have also uprooted some of the white-collar jobs in certain sectors, right? So in the financial sectors, you're talking about people who used to look into high frequency trading, and now the machines can do it. Yeah, and for example, healthcare, now you have mobile health apps, you have robotic surgeries and diagnosis using algorithms. Even the fact of the domain of creativity, right? So there are machines that have recently composed a musical play. So what does this mean for organization leaders, right? So this kind of disruption based on the different mega trends, feel free to go look into a report. Obviously, there's much more details. But this leads to some uncertainty faced by leaders. So regulation, uncertainty, new technology, uncertainty, strategy challenges, uncertainty, operating models, uncertainty, and in the fourth place, the ability to optimize talent is on the top of what many global leaders are looking at. Yeah, so I don't know if some of you would have know about Sophia, right? So the lines between now machines or technology and humans are getting more and more blurred, right? So Sophia, the robot, has been invented by Hanson Technologies that is based in Hong Kong, and she has her own passport, and she is a citizen of Saudi Arabia. She has a visa as well, and she has been interviewed on CNBC. Recently, at the end of last year, she is the first non-human to be given an award by the UN, by UNDP, in fact, right? So, and the reason why Hanson, created this technology or this robot, Sophia, is that he believes that there is a potential to serve humanity. I'm quoting him now, in different functions, right? And now with this blurring of lines, we can now also focus on more meaningful work, or work that creates the impact that we want to create. So then I wanted to share a bit in this presentation also about, what are global talent management teams doing to lead this change? So obviously there are much more, but it's important also to see what some of the areas that are focusing on based on also the challenges that we raise from leaders. So when it comes to how organizations are developed, more and more we are looking at how can we create a lean and agile organization structures. We all know about the gig economy, where we now have portfolio careers with different projects that we are looking at using our different unique talents. We are also looking into co-working communities, and one of the areas that are really that is getting more and more crucial and that is more and more looked into is the area of data analytics. So what happens, right? So I had a chat with one of the people analytics team member from the healthcare company, and asking him what are some of the data that he's looking and what are they planning to do. So traditionally, for example, roles are based on very structured format. So you have a job description, you have a role and position. But now with data, and what is happening is that individuals are able to tell and provide information to the organization about their strengths, about their passion and interest, about other competencies that are not easily potentially fit into job descriptions, but based on how you can use the data on the roles that are needed. So not traditional roles, but what work needs to be done, where the matching can be done better. So no longer putting people into silos, and giving also the talent team a better understanding of what does it mean when it comes to the talent that they have and how they can engage them. There are also, a few different things in the whole, as we call the talent journey, right? So how do we bring in talents? How can we look at new talent pools, for example? How can we use the technology to recruit when it comes to chatbots, like Matthew mentioned earlier? How do we use social media? And now it's also moving towards seeing us as a digital resource conductor. So what does it mean? That we are really the conductor of our own careers and our own development. So about the Google's 20% policy, where we are, or the Google employees are able to look into how we can invest time in areas that are not in our core work. Also taking advantage of online learning, where we can learn about what interests us, even in remote locations. And in the area of retention, compensation, for example, talent management teams are looking into smarter work contracts that look more at KPIs, flexible working hours, remote work conditions. So due to the mindset change of individuals who wants more and more freedom, companies are also reacting, some obviously slower, some quicker, and looking at how creatively we can create a package that attracts and provides a better employee experience. And the corporate culture is now more trust versus control with smarter KPIs. And this also makes business sense in the end, right? Because in the case of a company adapting remote work, like Sun Microsystems, you see that they save, 68 million per year just in real estate, because they decide also to open up the possibility of working remotely. So this is just in a nutshell some of the things that talent management teams are looking at. So the idea of also this call is to also provide a bit of understanding of how you can be ahead in terms of your career developments in the digital age, right? So how can we leverage our uniqueness in terms of planning our career next steps? And I like to use often, and if you have heard me before in some presentations, one of my favorite three words or 3 points methodology is, how can we clarify the 3 C's? So how can we clarify our career journey? How can we create our career story? And how can we connect to build our career allies? right? So the idea is that, technology is a tool, right? But it's important and crucial to understand what is our core. So what do we want to communicate? And before that, even more importantly, we need to clarify our strengths and uniqueness. So how do we know ourselves better, and also how can we map out the clear career journey? So before I bring into to the methodology, I wanted to share a bit also about my own first experiences as a child when it comes to learning about technology. So I grew up in an area where there's no computers, and then there's the era of the DOS computers. And then Windows came to place, and I was in the office of my father. And I started, if you know that this is the recycling bin in a Windows computer, at least the logo of it. And the actions of a child sometimes cannot be foreseen. And when he came back, he realized that his window screen was empty, like that. I had basically moved all the icons because it's a game for me, right? I was 10 years old, and I put all the different files into the trash can, and I think I might have even have emptied it. Right. So why do I share this? Right. So I have a bit of curiosity in technology, and I've been learning along the way. However, I also realize that technology is just a tool. I probably won't ever be the best software developer. The idea is also to focus, what I'm good at. Obviously, I'm much more savvy now than my 10 years old self. And the idea is, to focus on 4 important questions. And this is what we call one of the methodology called the Ikigai, which makes us answer 4 questions, right? So what we are good at, what we love, what the world needs, and what we can be paid for. So Ikigai basically means what makes us jump out of bed every morning. And the more that we do an introspection exercise based on these 4 questions, the more we understand our uniqueness, and also how our career can be mapped out and developed based on an intersection of the 4 areas. It's a methodology that started in the island of Okinawa in Japan, where they have, statistically the numbers of oldest 100-year-olds and also happiest people. So the idea is to create our story, our personal brand, and also action plans. So now you have seen one model, one of the many, using the Ikigai for a bit of retrospective to know what our uniqueness is. You can also start creating your communication and digital career strategy, right? So have a bit of, make a plan based on the Ikigai that you see before, to help understand, who are we as a core identity. So this is taken and adapted from the business canvas, if you have used the business canvas before. So what benefits do we bring onto the table, for example? Who are the audience we want to reach? What kind of results that we see ourselves getting from a change in career to adapt ourselves in the digital age? And also what kind of key investments do we need to make? Right, so this is one of the ways that we can use to prepare ourselves for this career evolution. And the third C is also the fact that we don't have to go through this phase of change and transition into the digital era alone, right? We have also career allies. And one of the points in the programs that we run is, why don't we leverage the people that we know? What if we have our own personal board of directors, solely for the fact of also helping us shape our careers? What if we have a CTO on our board, for example, right? A chief technology officer that can help us understand technology a bit better based on the unique value that we want to provide based on the industry that we are in. So it's important, and to put some points here, that we need to also recruit our own CTOs, make a list of those in the forefront of technology, leverage networks and associations, and make sure that we're in the conversation. Because the more we talk and understand technology, the more we realize and can make sense of what the next steps are. So what can we do to connect with them? So make a list, an action plan, right? So what do we need? What questions can we ask? What actions do we want to take together with this board? Can be our friends, our family. Don't forget the ones closest to us, right? So they can be also advisors within the company, subject matter experts. So I actually had to, use this as a way for me to engage with different people who are experts in the area of people analytics, and I create and conduct an interview, for example, with them to understand a bit better. You can also look into sponsors and also career coaches. So I like this quote. This is almost towards the end already. That technical skills, may take us to just the doorstep, but it is your soft skills that will open up the door for you or for us, right? And it is really important for us to start using the different methodologies and framework and understand how business works, right? So understand what are the different changes in business models and what skills will be needed. And this is something that I pulled up from the LinkedIn Global Talent Trends report. It's a public report. You can look into it. But some of the top 5 skills would include creativity, persuasion, collaboration. It's more and more important to collaborate because we don't know how the business models are changing. So instead of competing, like we talked about before, why not look into potential ways to collaborate? We need to be more and more adaptable as the world is more global, and also adaptability in the sense of leveraging technology because the lines are blurring. So an understanding of how automation or how technology can work to our advantage and adapt it to our needs and challenges is very important. And as we know, we are on our technology so much in the day itself, right? So how can we manage our time better is also really important, and not to have this overload, of and blurring the lines between work and life, for example, right? So I think the idea of what I want to also for you to take away at the end of this session is, start the 3 C's, right? Just to summarize, clarify your career journey, create, your brand story, and create an action strategy to see how you can become a digital forerunner in your area of specialty. Connect also with your career allies, your personal board of directors. Leverage the resources that are available. Be very open-minded and have a growth mindset. And also learn by need, just like how my father learned because he had a need. We also need to see where we can integrate this based on our day-to-day challenges and opportunities, and make sure we don't stop learning. So I want to say thank you for that. I'm looking at the time because I promised Thomas that it will be 20 minutes. But before I go, I just want to share 2 different areas that I think could be interesting for those who are looking at. So I'm part of Future Work Forum, as you saw. And one of the books that is written by the partners in the group is about how can we help organizations and also leadership and also the teams avoid a digital overload. So feel free to take a look. It's also available on Amazon. Then the second part that I want to share about is this community that is very close to my heart, which is helping women to return to work, to take on leadership positions. We have a career relaunch forum on May 3rd as well in Frankfurt. So if you're interested, go to our community website to understand a bit more. So that's the end. I hope I didn't have a too long overtime. I think I kept my promise, right, Thomas?
Absolutely. We are still on time.
So look forward to tackle the future together.
Perfect. Now let me stop the slide and show up again.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. We have some interesting questions and comments from different parts of the world. So,
sure.
And yes, we still have time, even though we are 1 minute late, but we started 5 minutes later. So no worries.
Okay.
So George, for example, he mentioned something like who knows how long my job will exist in the future.
Right.
Need to start thinking about my next career steps, but a little bit frightened. Think could be a good start asking myself what I'm good at, explore myself. Yeah, absolutely. So I believe this is what do you think about this, Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea is nobody knows, right? I mean, I've tried to find an answer myself where the future of work would be, and you see from all the research from Dell Technology Institute of the Future, nobody really knows, But I think technology will move fast, but also when we start to follow it step by step and try to understand it, and that's where this personal board of advisors, having our directors or having our CTO that we consult on a regular basis can help bridge that gap. So I do it a lot for myself, for example, because I don't have a computer science background, right? So it's
Sure.
important to be proactive to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I see like the part of a little bit frightened. Yes, sometimes, and not knowing the future doesn't mean we have to be frightened. No, we can
Yeah.
be like proactive or believing in ourselves. So
Yeah, and I think what I realized that is really important is that it's not a bad thing to say I don't know and I need help, because everyone who likes to help, right? Everyone likes to give advice because they feel also good that they know something that someone else doesn't. So all the time that I've approached someone and say, hey, I don't have a tech background, but I'm interested in this. This is what I need for my business ventures or for my personal life. I would say
so
99.99% has never said no. So we understand it. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, and then for example, we have Ken. He writes like working as a freelancer as well, traveling a lot. Fully agree. You need to position yourself, check your capabilities, and align if with the outside working world. Fully.
Yeah, yeah, perfect. Thanks for sharing, Ken. Yeah, it's really important. And I think we see this phenomenon in LinkedIn as well. Because we used to have very fixed titles, right? Talent manager would be talent manager, HR would be HR, CTO would be CTO. But now, if these lines are being blurred, it's important to then find a way to describe our so many different types of passions and the work,
Absolutely.
interesting work that we like to do. It's the same for you, Thomas, isn't it? You also have a few portfolios.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sometimes I have to explain, or people ask me, like, what exactly are you doing? Yes, but I fully agree with you saying, like, it was not like a job title, a position in a company, but now I having different interests, different projects, engagements. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And also now we look at how we can build our digital business card, isn't it? So we
Yeah.
leverage tools. There are a few people that I've met who doesn't want to get into it. They don't want their information to be shared. But at the same time, we have to understand tools like LinkedIn, for example, is not just for recruitment. It's really now a tool to help us connect better.
Sure.
Cover.
Yeah, so let me then check like, yeah, working, yes, cannot. Rahul says like working in India, connecting with peers and contributing to open source projects. I like the new work world. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, and also the ones that are in this bottish community, right? I mean, you created this community together with Ainara for a purpose. You want to connect individuals. So in the end, we are part of now your community, and I count on you and the rest who are here today, Rahul, Ken, Ainara, for example, to be also part of my personal board of directors. So I'm going to not be shy to come to you for more collaboration,
absolutely.
more
Yes,
learning as well. Yeah.
sure. Yeah, perhaps a little side story because I see now we have like, yes, more or less the comments or questions. Yeah, was there's like, when will machines replace humans from George? The last one, like, I'm working in the banking sector, meaning like,
I think I was reading. Well, I don't have a 100% answer or anything. I don't think anyone has, right? But it will happen sectors by sectors, also within the sectors, areas by areas, specialization by specialization. But instead of replacing, I think the thing is that there will be a very close human and technology relationship and partnership. The idea is not to let fear obstruct us, but to really go into and understand how you can use it as a tool and learn the tools in your sectors. So for what's his name, George, for example, yeah.
Yeah.
For George, for example, then go and find your CTO, your personal director CTO in the industry, in the company, understand a bit about where the changes are happening, and try to keep ourselves ahead in the
Absolutely.
conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, so like there are like there's some closing comments. Thanks, Carolina, very helpful. Wishing you all the best.
Thank
Wishing
you.
you all the best, Carolina. Cheers from Ken, and thanks, Carolina. Great presentation from Ahol from India.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, definitely. And yes, as you mentioned, Carolina, before, this is exactly why we started bottish, connecting people from all over the world, not only participants, but as well speakers, as you, and communities and so on. And we are very excited, covering like 60 countries already, showing up some or the other sessions. We have always other people joining, and this is really like why we are doing bottish. So yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for joining us
No,
from
thank you for
Germany.
creating this amazing community. Like, it's amazing how far you have reached. 60 countries. I mean, 10 years ago, maybe it's not that quick, right? It's
Absolutely,
possible.
yeah, but we are working hard. And thanks, Carolina, by the way, mentioning as well Ainara, because she is not the one who wants to show up on the camera, but she's the one who like organized all the rest, and I just can talk and chat with you or all with you here on the camera. So
Yeah. Well, we all use our different strengths. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. So please stay with me because I will just make a short outlook. The next edition we have on April 18. There we have again more like a healthcare focus. We will start and talk about like the new possibilities of technology for the pharma industry. So we are now closing like the application speakers. So if you are interested to join our next edition, more than happy to reach out to Ainara again or to me if you like. And yeah, thanks, Carolina. Thanks, partners, communities, and participants. That was bottish number 16 already. And wishing you all a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. And yeah, stay bottish.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.